what if the blue lives, or excuse me, all lives matter, little stampede started because somebody wanted to ruffle some feathers.
All right.
Okay.
All right, like there's something I think, and then there's like the and I guess when the protests, and they start off as peaceful protests, or start off they say there's peaceful protests, something happened, and some people take advantage of the situation, like you see the looting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the police have to be called in. It's like it's like sometimes people like so this kind of segue into it now. There's like the whole defund the police movement or whatever like that. That's like kind of segue. It's like at the same time it's like people. I mean, people have their criticisms. I probably have my criticisms and everything. I mean, there's good cops, bad cops, just like
Hey, I'm
any
gonna
else.
go on record and say I do want the
police,
police to be
you just need to
defunded.
change the
I think
system.
the
I
money.
mean, it's like what do you do with
They
that?
need the money. You want them to come to work in police when necessary. That's not the issue. It's the system. Like it's the rule book. It's the fact that they could go to trial and be like this, and this when this man blatantly killed this man.
Policies and protocols.
Right, exactly.
I think also another thing that we also fail to realize is that it's not something that's only American. It's worldwide. It's all over. Not only in Africa but in Europe and everywhere else. Me personally, I was raised in South Africa during the apartheid time, and it was definitely black and white. I actually went to both schools. I speak Zulu and Afrikaans because I went to an all-white school to learn how to speak Afrikaans. I learned how to speak Zulu because I went to all-black school, and it was something that I dealt with back then in 2000, and we still now in 2021 in America, and we're still dealing with this.
Yeah.
And I think we also forget what Black lives is. I think we so caught them into the word white or black. It's all matters, right?
Right.
But we just put an awareness of what's really going on nowadays with what's going on in the world. We see it. You've seen it. We can name from Trayvon Martin, we can name everybody and everything. But if you pay attention to the last words they say, they always say I. What I didn't, or I can't breathe, or I. They always say I. They didn't do anything. And this is all recorded, not only by visual, but also by sound. They had no weapons or anything like that. So Black Lives Matter was just created to create awareness, to let people know like Black lives are really out here being really killed. These are our sisters, these are our brothers that could have been. And we just want to put awareness to let that be known. But of course, all lives matter. Of course, Indian lives matter. Spanish lives matters, and so on. But I think the whole point is that we had to put awareness now because, like I said earlier, the Civil War, we tried that back then. We let it fade off a little bit. We just bringing it back.
Yeah, it's like
And now we have social media to help us out. And if you go to the Black Lives Matter protest, it's a whole different type of crowd. It's not only black people protesting.
yeah, there's like white.
You know what I'm saying?
There's white protesters.
Exactly.
I was gonna say sometimes in the Black Lives Matter there's white protesters, just like there's like black police officers.
Exactly. There's a lot of black people. Exactly. So we just need help right now to educate people. Like you mentioned earlier, it's dealing with homes.
Oh yeah, I got a letter to it.
Go ahead.
No, I do want to be a little controversial, and this is also why I'm neutral. And hopefully don't become the bad guy, but this kind of goes to his point, right? So a lot of the people that scream Black Lives Matter and are protesting and doing these things, yes, we need the world and the government and all these people to do. What are we doing for ourselves? Because there is a conversation that's attached to this that is Black lives have to matter to other black people.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of our problem right now. So when he asks, what are these people doing? How are we helping
Now that's a
ourselves
really good
first?
question. I have an answer for that one.
Okay, I love it.
Okay.
We use the word black a lot. Last time I checked, we brown.
Okay.
There's different tones in this room right now. Okay, so it's not only by tone, but also educational and also mentality. Okay, we might be different type of black people here. Even with the protests you mentioned earlier, they happened in during the pandemic. They happened that we saw online about what's happening at Phillips Plaza. I wasn't there. I wasn't there. Yeah, it would have been nice to get a Gucci bag. That would have been nice, but I wasn't there. So, yes, there's different type of black people. There's different type of white people.
Right.
Of course, I agree.
Daniel's different. Daniel's different from others out there, and we also different from others out there. So, when we look at all the overall picture, yes, but when we look at individuals, there's different types. So yes, even you mentioned earlier about people raising $1 million and giving away $1 million to certain nonprofit organizations. who know what they're doing. They're gonna pull up in a Bentley or a G-Wagon the next day.
Yeah.
But some of us will actually make a difference and educate
And
some
I
young
agree.
individuals out
Yeah,
here.
some
Or
people
setting
are.
examples.
And I think that's where our focus should be.
Yes, and this
Not
is why
on
even
trying to get everybody else to stop being people that are racist to stop being racist. That's a wasted energy.
and I'm glad we all sitting here.
I
Exactly.
don't see it, like I don't give a damn.
Even the fact that we're sitting here right now having this conversation, it's gonna be out there in the social media world, so we can talk about these things to educate some of the young people growing up right now. Because I'm a little older, as far as being raised in 3 different continents and living 3 different worlds, so I saw different things. But there's a lot of youth right now who still don't understand what has happened, not only 100 years ago with slavery, but what's going on a couple years ago as well. They don't know these things. Even for me, when I use the word apartheid, they don't even know what that is. They don't even know. Yeah, they might know who Nelson Mandela is, but they have no idea what he went to jail for, what he actually fought for. They don't know. It's our responsibility. They're not teach that in school, like you mentioned. The education is all messed up. There's not a lot of YouTube channels who are speaking about this. This is a very sensitive topic, and we have to talk about it.
Okay, I want to
watch it in color.
real quick. It's you can say what you gotta say, but I wanted to kind of switch it up a little bit and talk about like the police brutality.
Okay.
So I don't know how I'm gonna say this without sounding like I'm being insensitive, but I'm not gonna. It's not my perspective. I don't believe it, but.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so do you guys
Go
think
ahead.
that sometimes we evoke the violence that happens? I mean, like from the police. Like, do you think sometimes not that? Okay. Do you think sometimes it's not that it's just no?
Are you saying?
I know what you're trying
What's
to
the
say.
word I'm
I
trying to
got you.
say?
I got you.
I know what
What
you're
are
trying
what
to
are
say.
the what are the
what you're trying to
circumstances that
say.
lead up to that?
Yeah,
What are the
that's
circumstances?
so.
What are the circumstances that lead to that? What's
No,
like,
I
get
understand
what you're trying to say.
We know what you're trying to say, and you're not trying to say it. We get.
I don't
And
want
let
to
me
be
say,
because sometimes I okay.
no, what are the circumstances?
It's like
there's but let me just say
Okay.
I feel like sometimes I may come across as being like
No. We get your point.
But
Go ahead.
sometimes I've seen certain like of course the footage whatever, and you see how defensive they're being.
can't be that scared though to want to kill a man.
Okay.
No, but I feel like sometimes okay.
But
Okay,
it's
so, you know,
training,
you-
you gotta have good training.
I wanna.
It's
That's
the
what I'm saying.
system.
If you know, I'm not talking about the ones who. Okay, let me say this.
No.
If you know that white officers are, you know the history behind white police officers. Why just not?
So, you know our pride too strong.
Just
bro.
shut the
Then you go ahead.
I mean,
But
I'm saying.
At some point,
there are two sides to every story.
It's
Okay,
two.
there are two sides to every story. Like
It's
I think
not
there's
every.
always when
It's
it's
not
like-
every instance that is like that. But I'm
But-
just saying the ones I've seen.
But
Some
okay,
ones
like
like
I can provide like an example. Like right here, like a year ago, with like there's this guy Rashard Brooks who got pulled over because he was passed out drunk at Wendy's or whatever. Like it seemed like everything was fine. Like hey, like come on now. Then he started to fight the cop for no reason. And I guess he took the cop's gun. The cop
Yes.
defend himself. Is that really like not every situation is the same. I guess it depends like what like constitutes in this. And of course the officer's being charged or whether people are saying like why is or whatever. Like what's obviously.
Hey, having a sister as a
Like,
lawyer.
it depends. Like there's two sides to every story.
Yeah.
It's context.
Right,
That's all I'm saying.
right.
But go
In
ahead.
the case of a police officer and a person, it doesn't matter the race really, but yes, black people usually get more aggression towards them. Besides the fact, we don't win in the street, we win in court. Just the law is a powerful thing. So I see what you're. I know
Times
what you're
are
getting
different
at. You're
now.
saying, always fighting back, having something to say, just being defensive, but at the same time, two sides of every story. So let's not just keep recycling that. But go ahead.
Now here's my question. By show of hands,
Yeah.
how many of you guys know a police officer? Wait, don't raise your hand yet. And have their number in your phone and you're friends with them. Raise your hand.
I've had.
So you have a friend that's a police officer?
Yeah.
How many?
I don't talk to them.
Just number.
My friend's dad was a sheriff.
No,
so
do you have his number right now?
I have his
That's-
number.
that's-
So if
that's
I
not
need-
your friend.
Eliminated.
What about you?
Okay.
Too.
Two. You talk to them occasionally? They're your friends? Okay.
Like they like regular people. I mean, but they're
They're your
I
friends.
feel like
You hang out with them, they're your friends?
yeah.
Okay.
Like,
I happen to know several. And I know this is going on YouTube. Shout out to you guys. But listen, the badge
and something good.
and the gun, it changes your mentality. And I think and mind you, These officers are black officers who are my friends. I will not say their name, of course, but they are my friends. I went to high school with these guys. I played football with these guys. They in the law enforcement, and they have changed. I don't hang out with them often because we're just not in the same mentality. But when that gun and that badge on you, can you guys imagine having a gun and badge? You get to walk out here and pull over anybody you want. Can you imagine how much power that is?
At
Do you know how much power that is? How much black, all white, Indian, orange, purple. Do you know what that means
That's
having a
for
gun?
someone who has their own complex within
Right.
inside of them.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the fact that they're working for
So
the
let me get to my point. Let me get to my point. What she
Our
said.
tax dollars pay for their salary.
Yes.
So I don't care what level of authority you have in your head. My authority should supersede that because you're here to protect me.
I happen not to be a cop, by the way, so just don't.
That's exactly how it should
But-
be, but it's not because it's the system.
But my point back to what she said, right? She said, you know, it's some situations that we've seen on YouTube, we've seen, you know, out there where people react a certain way, they don't pay attention. That's our job and responsibility as us. We might not be educators or teachers, but that's our job to let people know, and especially teenagers, on how to respond when you get pulled over.
Right.
I have an accident that I'm gonna be posting on YouTube, and I recorded the entire thing to show what happened and how I got away with it because I knew how to talk to an officer. You know, like when they pull you, why'd you pull me over for? You arguing with the person. Of course, that's what she meant to say, but it's the fact that, like, first of all, are you at fault?
Right.
If you burn the stop sign, you got pulled over. Listen, you burned the stop sign.
Yeah.
If you have drugs in your system and you're drunk,
You're wrong.
but there's many situations where people are innocent. We've seen it on TV, and they didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
But it's our job as even having this topic to put on YouTube to teach people
And that's what I mean.
how to respond to when you get pulled over.
But
I guess
in
it's-
some
it's-
responses, it was totally taken out of bounds of what was respectable,
Yeah.
what was definitely. I mean, when you been men pulled over, they had their girl in the car and they baby in the back,
Right.
and
How
they
you
got
not
shot in the
It's
front.
called ego and pride. It's either listen. It's called bond. Okay. I don't get arrested. Okay. I have attorneys, but I'm aware of how to go to prison because I know people that have been in prison.
Yeah.
Go to jail. Get it recorded. We have phones for a reason. My phone's right here. Where's your phone? All of our phones is exactly with
I
us.
got a phone.
Record it. Get your car to have a customized camera.
But that's the thing.
Record it. Go to jail, bond yourself out, and go to court and fight it. Yes, that goes back to why Life Matters again, because it goes back to we didn't have no rights at that moment. But there's a fight to fight later on. There's a system. We can now. There's a system.
Racism is the system.
Okay, so let's
But
let's
deal with
stop
it.
this for a second.
Why fight it? Deal with it.
Okay, for 1 second, I want to. Okay, so
It's not about to happen.
you,
Okay, okay.
hold on, y'all. One house. Okay, so
One mic. It's Clubhouse, baby.
Alright, so what were we
Daniel,
talking
so from your perspective, what
Okay.
is your take on, when it comes to police brutality, and do you think there are some instances where Black people do cause that?
Well, I think it depends on the situation. I mean, I can't really speak for everything, but I think it depends on the situation. I mean, I think like if you I think if you try to pick a fight with a cop, regardless of what your skin color is, it's probably not going to end well with you. I mean, he mentioned like a couple of months ago, I almost got a DUI, and I was under, so I was okay. But I went to jail and everything, but they let me go. I just complied and everything. They kind of was trying to look at me for something, they were like trying to search for something, but I was just complying, kind of going along with it, and they gave me a ride home and everything like that. So I was good.
Oh,
So
wow.
I just got a citation because I was an improper U-turn because I made a U-turn where I wasn't supposed to. But I just had to pay a citation. That's it. So I kind of dodged a bullet there, but I was just kind of play the game. I didn't really drink that much. Because I know you're not supposed to drink and drive. So when you feel like you're not supposed to drink heavily and get on the road. I mean, if you drink maybe one or two, you'll be okay. But but even then, you probably still need to be careful regardless, because even so, one wrong move and you're done. I mean, but of course, it depends on the situation. Of course, I mean, not to say cops don't do bad things. Obviously, if they do bad things, they should be held accountable, but and everything like that. But I mean, and should be at least. And of course, but it seems like there's like a little crazy little caveat here. But apparently, I'm not sure if you heard this, but apparently, statistically, more white people are shot by cops than Black people. Part of that more white people. Part of that has to do with population, because they're more statistically. But that's something that's not talked about. Sometimes there's this instance I heard there was a white guy who was killed by a cop a few years ago. His name's Tony Tempa, because you hear about George Floyd all the time and there are others. But I didn't hear about this till later, but I think
that one is more of a percentage thing.
Yeah, but of course that isn't there. I don't know what the circumstances is. I think this guy was had a mental breakdown. The cops were like laughing at him as he was like, you know, being like, as they were like choking him out or whatever like that. Which is still wrong regardless. But of course we didn't really hear about that. It's not something we hear about.
But is it because nobody's highlighting that? Is it because it's like it's the system? We really want the
I don't think nobody actually
system to be changed.
Did you guys get the details of what he just said? He was pulled over, being under the influence.
Yeah.
He did a U-turn. He got pulled over. He got a citation and was driven home. Now my question to you is, how often does that happen to the black people?
I mean, probably not. Well, the guy.
No.
Here's the thing.
Let's go there.
But here's the thing.
I wanted to be calm. Like it was so fast.
I've got it.
The cop arrested. But the thing is, the cop arrested me was a black cop. The cop arrested me was.
They were Hispanic and Latino. Look.
I'm just saying.
On the side of the building.
The guy was actually kind of being somewhat aggressive. He was like, you know, hey, do you have?
Well, I wasn't aggressive. Well, wait. So what happened?
Was a black cop.
I got in. I was so drunk. It was a female officer. She was bad too. She's like, but she's kind of she was kind of Hispanic or something, and he was light skinned too. And I guess maybe my skin affiliation might have like calmed it down. But she said that I was about to get a citation for pissing on the side. I tried to pee. Was at Dugan's. Had some pictures at a comedy event, drinking too much, and it got kind of tipsy. So it was all closed and done. I had to pee. Went around like a tire spot. Pee, and when I walked back, hey, you're under arrest for peeing.
You sounded just like.
So wait. So she was in the car, and she was in the car sitting there listening to me. I was belligerent in her face, like in her window. Like, no, you're not doing this. And he came behind me.
Okay, you tripping.
And then like that. So I can understand that where it seems like it is something where you would put your defenses up, but to the same extent, you know that I'm maybe a belligerent person. I'm a young person. Sometimes intimidation really is half the battle, and some people ain't ready to even step up to the plate. So they do things that, and part of policy with police is that you try to end the situation as soon and as quietly as possible.
Bang, bang,
but it's some people who.
I think it kind of goes both ways. Like, cops need to act right, so the civilians, it kind of does go both ways.
Yeah, but I think it depends. It depends on the individual cop.
Yeah.
Like we said, it's a complex structure. The feeling of having authority is that does.
Let's go back to the main point.
I got a question. Would any of you ever become a police officer?
I would become something. I wouldn't know. Probably not a police officer.
I'm not ready.
I would be a fireman before
Let's
I
one person please just talk so we can all hear what
I guess he wants to
saying.
say
I'm a good pivot. I just want y'all's opinion. How do you feel about? Because he's speaking of the individual cop. And the issue with police and getting away with things is immunity because of the union. And another thing I feel like the department should do is a lot more vetting and just like psychology tests and just like
that should be in all rules.
You can be a police officer in Georgia and make all these mistakes and all these people complain about you move all the way to Madison. You know what I'm saying? And there was a cop. My sister was telling me this story. Actually, because it was a case. He was a cop, I forget where, and he moves, but he had a lot of issues. And he ends up moving and killing some kid.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? And you can notice these things, but the issue is you don't have to check whether the cop was how he was like. You don't have to do background checks. So these things that have to change.
Okay, let me say this one thing also. I have this once, something my mom, I think it was my mom or my dad told a story to all of us that when she was in school, we're from New York. So when she was in school, one of her professors told them that some of his friends who are police officers specifically joined the force just to kill black people. This is real life.
That was like in New York.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is NYPD. You know how it is.
I've heard like that.
So they specifically joined the force just to kill black people. So that's the mentality of a lot of.
If you think about
that's the reason why policing was started.
The police force is being enforced. The education system is its job.
That's why they have to change.
Look what just happened recently at Lenox Mall. 2 15-year-old kids, broad daylight, on a Sunday,
Shot that man.
all black.
That's crazy.
But wasn't the guy black, the security guard?
It doesn't matter his skin tone. I'm going by the people that shot him were 15, black.
Yeah, that's
All
the
black
problem.
with ski masks. I think I was black, I think it was Spanish. I don't know what he was,
I
but
think it was like his
the point is this. In 2021, a 15-year-old with a gun, black daylight on a Sunday at Lenox Mall, this education system is messed up.
You know the mentality
You know-
of foreigners to American, like, so I lived in Australia, right? And they would ask me, like, man, how many school shootings? Like, they were so bizarre.
How about
Like, wow,
some-
that we have guns that are illegal, and they think it's just Wild West. Everybody's running around with shotguns and shit. And they're like, yo, because the school mass shooting happened in Australia. I think it happened once in New Zealand or Australia.
Right.
And that was like it, you know.
Yeah,
But here, we had, I don't know
We
the
do whatever the
statistics,
fuck
but
we
in
wanna
here,
do,
you know,
clearly.
more than 5.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Look, earlier, it's
It's
bad.
disgusting. And, you know,
It
yeah,
is
we are
sad.
failing our youth.
And that's one thing, we don't
No,
want to
we are.
rely on education as far as school. Like, even great job with this topic, because this was going to help us out there, because
Yes.
we may be aware of it. You guys experienced it. We all been pulled over before.
Yes.
Some of us have been in jail or not. Maybe some of us got tickets. But if we don't help the youth, we're not going
Man,
anywhere.
that's where it comes
And that's why I
back to.
say it's back on us.
It's back on us. We're
It's not
responsible.
on us,
No.
that's what I'm
We
saying.
can't blame
So
them
that's why I'm
anymore.
like,
Right.
when we're making it versus Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter, we're focusing on the wrong thing.
Exactly.
I think when we're focusing on the fact that we need to teach our kids that racism happened, they need to know about it. Yes,
Yeah,
they do
shit.
at some point, sure. However, what we need to use that energy to teach them is
Right
what
now.
they need to
Did
do.
y'all hear?
Because right now, as Black people, we talked about this last episode. As Black people, we are in such a good position to kill it. Like, we literally
Swear.
started from scratch
Yes.
and got here. Like,
Yes.
here where we are. Just look at where we are. It's like,
And such a
So
good.
How much
Focus
knowledge
on
we
that.
have now?
do you like that?
Of course.
He's here right here, right now.
That look just like him. They cool as shit. I'm not worried about every white person being racist. So when the reason Black Lives Matter bothers me sometimes is because it adds to that separation he was talking
And
about. It adds to dividing us as people. That's what we're teaching our kids. Divide. We don't need to divide. I want to work with him. I want some people in crew.
And
Like, do your thing.
That's such a great point, because I was just talking about this earlier. About we have to stop using the race card when it comes
Oh
to
my
business
God.
or employment.
Right.
This goes
If you
back
guys
to
want, if we probably got another 10, 15 minutes, we
More
could go
so
there.
the employment.
It's not acceptable to use that card anymore. It's an excuse.
This is what I was trying to tell
Can I
you
bring
today.
If you want to
No,
go
no,
there,
I wanna
I
bring
will.
up something.
I will go
If you
there.
explain coddle like that,
That's what coddled means.
It's not. We need to stop. Okay. Yeah. I get it that corporate America is all, but listen, there's a lot of black successful men out there.
Yeah.
Okay. We can use the card if we want to.
I'm like, men and women, but go ahead.
Men and women, of course. Many people out there. We can talk about Oprah right now. You know, we can talk about all
that
of
ain't
it.
just open. That's-
My thing is this. We could talk about what has happened back in the day. We could talk about what happened 2 years ago. We could talk about Black Lives Matter all we want. At the end of the day, us men, first of all, I'll address the men first and we'll talk about the women. We're here to provide and protect. We have to provide and protect. We have to earn money somehow. Okay?
Yeah.
Women out here are not how they were back in the days. Okay? They have their own jobs now, their own cars, their own place, they have their own bread. We have to stop using our skin tones as excuses.
Absolutely.
Earlier, I mentioned I'm wearing black and white, and I'm wearing more white than black. But I am for Black Lives Matter. It's the point that my outfit, or me standing next to Daniel, sitting next to Dan, does not determine anything. There's no different here. Our success does not determine. I have no idea how much money he makes or where he works at. And if you want to have that conversation, we can. But my skin tone does not determine that. We need to stop that. We need to be able to look past our skin tone and actually move forward into creating our own a legacy and our own currency.
We can do whatever we want. Like,
Yeah.
all right, if you're racist and you don't like black people, then I'm like, okay. Anyway, so
Yeah.
what? Like,
Cause
Do you want
I
to
know
know
you
how
got
to
that.
deal with it?
I couldn't get a job because I was black. The manager was white. He interviewed me. I couldn't get a job because he was black. Yes, when it comes to cops and police
Yes,
brutality,
that's
yes,
the
I get
word. We need to
that.
work
When it
on
comes to business, we need to stop doing that.
Yes.
If I could turn the camera around and see the behind the scenes, we are so diverse here. We have to stop using that as an excuse.
To me, white and black is nothing more than a social construct.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So if you get stuck in that construct, that's how you're gonna view reality.
But many
because
people
you're in
view
a
that
box.
way. Many people view that way.
To me,
Yeah, they're
I
raised
see
that way. They're
many
raised that way.
people.
That's
I
because
just
they
see
replacing
human
that
beings
box.
They're raised that way.
is
They
like
replacing that
That's
That's because
it.
we're teaching
Every day is life is
I
that.
don't know about this, y'all, because we're speaking from a position that's more, damn, I lost the word.
I got a question for you.
Hold on. We have more, so what I'm getting at is, you're saying pretty much strap up your boots and get to work in a way, yes, but there are people who come up whose upbringing is much harder than us.
Yeah.
My parents.
Whose
it
environment
possible.
is completely
It possible.
I strongly disagree.
No.
with
No. It's
But
their
here- let me jump in.
vision.
No, let me
Well, like, I was going
They can't see like what can be like. So, for instance, I was actually having a heart to heart with my dad a few days ago, and he was just, life story again, talking about his upbringing, hood, welfare, all these type of things, and he was talking about how people, when he joined the army and the Marines and everything, his friends back then thought he made it, right? Because they can't see anything, they can't see past their blood, and that's the issue. Some communities some people can't imagine like life without, because one, they don't see it in the education. That's why I'm big on this. And actually, I wanted to bring this up while you was talking about it. There's a bill right now that Senate's trying to pass that's trying to pretty much whitewash the education system, where they just not wanting to teach certain topics of race. They getting rid of Martin Luther King. Look into it. So, like,
Which is
let's go back to the point, though. I want to go back to the point. No, go back to the point.
Oh, my point.
Yeah.
My point is that you're saying, yes, black people, really anybody, needs to just be motivated and aspire. Yes, I agree 100%. I'm hella inspired, and just, a lot of aspiration. But I'm very fortunate because my parents, they did what they had to do. And the big division between black people and white people is that white people have a shit ton of generational wealth. So you look at housing, bro. Okay, their parents passed down, they can split 30,000 between their family. Okay, you look at a black community, what they split in between their family? That nigga, okay. So it's hard to be like, get up and get at it.
I agree.
All you see is
agree on that
nothing.
aspect.
You know what I'm saying? Drugs and everything.
Just to respond to that, I clearly understand that. There's many people that's very unfortunate who don't have the education or transport, even go to school, and I get that. But there are people, like ourselves maybe, who had the privilege and still use that as an excuse. I'm not for that. I am from Africa, okay? I have slept on a couch, I've slept in a car, I've slept on everywhere. But today, I don't do that anymore. I own everything I have. I'm an entrepreneur. So my point is that I'm not using that as an excuse, but there's other people like myself who had privilege to have been raised in good homes, who use that excuse that other people in the hood or in the village don't have the privilege, or people in Africa, they don't have no even a possibility, a chance to even move anywhere from the village because that's all they know, because their parents have no resources. Yes, those people may have excuses, and they don't give excuses because they live a better life than we do. But I'm not gonna sit up here and in front of the camera to let people know that no, there's many people. We have friends right now that we know on social media, they be complaining when you live in America. Like, how dare you do that? That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful.
But that's what I mean by they don't have the vision.
That's
disrespectful.
I was gonna say, like, talking about like people need to pull their socials by bootstraps or everything. Like, I had a friend, like an ex-friend of mine. He was a white guy, so like it's like not really about race. So he was like a friend. Like he had like a pretty messed up life. His parents are messed up. Like he's poor, whatever. He didn't have the things we have or whatever like that. Or whatever like that. He was like, so I became friends with him. Figured I could help him, whatever. Figured I was being a good friend. Okay, but then it's like, after a while he was just kind of like slutting back and everything. He's like, I've gone out of his way for him, like tried to help him, but the problem is, and he kind of come to decide, like, he was just kind of leeching off of you and everything. Like you try to help somebody, like sometimes you try to help somebody, they don't want to help themselves. It's like they're the victim all the time, regardless of race or whatever. Like it's not really about race.
But that's totally different because he lives in a world that was kind of set up for him. So if he decides not to like aspire to something better,
he was involved in the same stuff. He was like involved like some stuff.
We
like,
have
drugs,
to stop.
things like that.
We have
still,
there's gonna have to be a part 2 because you guys don't get it.
Because I mean, but still, we're getting back to Black Lives towards all lives matter in America. That's the whole point. And in America, black people went through hundreds of years of slavery. They didn't get civil rights till the 1960s. We had to go through hundreds of years of someone like, no, stay down there. And if you're even poor white people back in slavery, they might not have had as much as rich people, but they had rights. They had privileges and opportunities that we couldn't take advantage
So what do we do?
So
about it?
what I'm saying, if you chose to do drugs, everybody who does drugs, that's in the decision. Sometimes it comes from mental and emotional illness.
Or like
But people can still get over it. And if you're in a situation where it's less heavy, trust me, it's easier to get over it faster. And if you decide not to,
it's a healing process. We looking at why we always trying to find a problem or what happened. The solution, define a solution. My thing is we could talk about what happened with slavery and everything. That's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but it's no.
It's true.
No.
You're right. We're fucked up because of it. But
yeah.
I mean,
it's like if you're a product of your environment, that's all you see. That is your vision.
Yeah.
That is your vision.
That's your mentality. That's your mindset.
No, it's not a mindset. If I'm trying to
So
tell
you, so is this y'all too?
No,
Let's separate the room real quick. Let's separate the room.
I'm sitting here and I have
Let's
that
separate the room.
vision
So-
where I'm in that one of the family. Like I have to show that set that example. I
But then
have
do
to.
it.
Okay, you guys do. Okay,
And
let's-
that's what I'm
That's it.
doing.
That's what
But
you
what
agree
I'm
with her?
saying is that other people, when you try to have conversations with these people, they don't see it.
They don't
And it
understand.
sucks because you're giving it to them. I'm talking about giving them videos, everything where it's like in your face,
But this is
bro.
what you gotta realize.
And they still like,
This
shit.
is where
This
it's-
is my
where
life.
it's no longer
I have
a race
no,
thing,
like,
though.
you know, it's
And I'm-
like,
and I'm sorry to hear
it's-
that. I'm
That's
sorry to
what
hear
their
that.
morals and how they were raised, and like, you know, it sucks when that's
I'm
all
sorry to
you
hear
know.
that.
It's like, you know, it's like, damn.
I strongly disagree, but I'm sorry to hear that.
Latasha said what she
Sorry, I was gonna say like I'm from Philly, so I got family that's like that, right? But this is where it's no longer a race thing because he just talked about his friend. This is no longer about race. Some black people that you know what they want. They got these big goals. They got ambitions that are not reaching their full potential, right? There's so many people, youth, that you can see. I have a god sister. She's right here on the edge. If she can either go this way or that way, right? Based off of where she's living, in the middle of Philly, North Philly. But I can see it in her eyes. So our job is not to be like, make it about, yo, why y'all saying all lives matter? Y'all missing the point. It's about, yo, we gotta do what we can do to grab who we can grab. The ones that we can't, look,
How you feel about that response? How can you respond
we
to
gotta
that?
get them.
I mean, I understand, but I mean,
It's our responsibility.
But the way
at
they're
the end of the day, yeah, all lives do matter. But like she always brings up, it's a systematic thing.
It ain't going nowhere.
It is going
It has
somewhere.
to.
It
We
has
have no
to.
choice.
Or the country's
Look
gonna
at y'all, look at y'all, look at y'all, look at y'all.
It's gonna
Look at
self-destruct.
y'all. It ain't going tomorrow, okay?
No.
But it will eventually,
But
right?
because
But
it's a whole
that doesn't-
It should have been
But that
done
shouldn't stop your
a couple of
destiny.
yesterdays
But
ago.
guys.
It should have been done. It's people, black people
Let
are
me-
still talking about the same thing they were talking about 50, 60
let me explain
years
my
ago.
point.
If issues would happen to
Let me-
Native
let me-
Americans,
let me-
Because the
let me-
rest of the country is
Let me
ready
explain
to
my
change.
point. Let me explain my point. And let me explain my point because I'm a testimony. Let me explain my point. Yes, I completely agree with what you're saying. I hear you. I hear you. I hear both of you guys. But ain't no race can control my destiny.
Matter of fact, that's been happening.
But that doesn't.
Not
wait,
now.
wait.
You to
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm in front of the camera. I'm an entrepreneur. I work for myself and I'm a boss.
Not
So
now.
I'm a testimony.
That's what I'm saying,
So
yeah, now
my
we're in
point.
that-
Let me finish.
Go
Let me
ahead.
finish.
I don't
My
know,
point
you
is
go
that-
really deep on it.
No, it's gonna be a part two, and I would love for you to come on for the part two.
Part
But I have to
two.
explain. I have to explain this. This is why I'm actually here today to explain this part, this particular part, and I'll be done talking. We're not going to determine on what the weather is, or what color, race, whatever's going on out here in the world, whatever cop color it is, whatever many cops is out there when I drive out of here. They do not determine my pay. They're not going to determine my day. I create my own money.
Yeah.
I create my own resources. I hire who I need to hire.
Right.
So yes, there's a lot of things going on in the world out there. But if we change our mindset, like I changed mine, you will be successful. And that's my point. I'm not saying it's not going to change ever. It won't change tomorrow. But Black Lives Matter, like I said, it's a movement to just bring awareness, to change the way we think, to not only help the youth, but to help ourselves as well. Because we all maybe about over 25 here. It's safe to say that we need to change our mindset. I'm not saying you or maybe you, but I'm saying people who's listening, it needs to stop today. If you're watching this video today, you can make something happen. And I'm tired of it. I had this conversation so much, almost every single day. I had it backstage. I am tired of it. It's emotionally frustrating. It stresses me out because I'm like, guys, you cannot let the world or what happened years ago determine what we are doing today. We are in a studio Black owned. This show is Black owned. and we're gonna continue doing black-owned things. And this conversation will continue to inspire someone else there to make sure that we create more black businesses and hire more black people if you like to. And like I said earlier, if this camera had to turn around, there's a diversify of people in this room who are not only black. Even on stage right now, as our special guest Daniel, who's white. It's about being diverse. We need to stop that. That's my piece.
All right.
I need to explain.
Drop some
I
mic.
don't gotta say nothing else either.
Yeah.
No, so okay, so before we wrap, what do y'all? This is kind of random, but not random. It's kind of
short because
Yeah.
we done had some drinks.
I know.
I haven't eaten anything all day.
We just shot on set right now.
I haven't eaten anything all day.
Because I hear y'all.
Okay, what's your last point?
Donald Trump and his policies.
I'll let my man handle the Donald Trump
I
situation right there.
would go pee on
I can't go there. You gotta help me out with this one.
I just love the fact that he woke up and he said, I want to be the president of the United
See what the
States.
truth does to you? It makes you walk off stage. The
And
truth
he
makes you walk off
fucking-
stage.
And he did it how he wanted to do it.
Exactly. That's why I voted for him. That's why I
The
voted
first,
for him.
I mean, it's like,
Trump?
Yeah,
I
that's why I voted for
mean, I
him.
get it, but it's like, damn,
need your help,
man, you
bro. I can't do it.
disrespecting the whole, like, I
is he a
hired you,
racist?
like,
So,
Is he a
wait.
Is he a racist?
I gotta ask the question.
Is he a racist?
Is Donald Trump racist?
No.
I don't know.
The answer to me is no, I don't think so.
I know Donald Trump is a racist.
How?
Oh,
He's not racist. He knows how to take.
Hey, Kanye West will be president one day. Kanye West will
Yeah,
be
I know.
president.
I hope so.
Donald Trump
Okay.
knows how to take advantage of the race card.
So,
Donald Trump is just a businessman at the end of the day.
Okay, wait.
Donald
Obama
Trump
versus
took
Trump?
advantage-
who did more for the people? Trump has done a lot of things that
Like
people
prison reform.
understand.
Prison reform. Prison reform.
Okay, real quick though, but why did you vote for him though?
Because like I didn't really care too much from him. I thought he was some rich guy, but I like how he talked. He just kind of like he talked. He has backbone. He has
He seems
backbone.
like a real person.
He has backbone. He's not a coward. He has spine. That's why most politicians on both sides are spineless anyway. Most of them are cowards anyway. They don't. Not only does he talk the talk, he walks the walk. I mean, he has his problems.
Policies, I mean, do you agree with his policies?
Well, like he tried to get jobs back, and he did the whole prison reform thing to help, with the whole racial injustice thing. He just did that, which is that bipartisan thing and everything, which and then people can debate that. Like, and
That's
then
not my strong point.
yeah, and then there's like the economic thing, bringing jobs back and things like that. It was
So
kind of
you
like
felt that he was able to bring a lot of jobs?
yeah,
back
like
to
get the
black
economy
people?
going again. People like this, people like to say, oh, he didn't do that, like someone else did, or Obama, or other factors or whatever.
So you agree that he was able
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
he
a
was like
lot
he
for-
did like he was able to do that. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean,
Who
everyone
wants to go against that?
He definitely did what he needed to do, you feel me?
Oh.
But it's like at the end of the day, it's like, how do you disrespect the office because you really have no experience? Like, you feel me? You really
You
just
care
in
about
I
there
just think like all the people that
It's
came
like-
before him, like what
Hey,
have
you
they
care about the
done?
office and be mad at racism.
Okay, real quick though,
I
you voted for
understand.
him twice,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So why did you vote for him the second time?
Okay.
After what you've seen the first time and how he,
I just feel like
You know,
I feel like
Reed.
people were out to get him. It's like
Okay,
it's like,
the
people
question
were
was,
out to get
were you would have voted for anybody else? Did you vote for Obama?
him. Well, the first time, yes. The first time, yes.
Oh.
The first time, yes.
Looks like you might have to join us for part 2, Daniel.
Well, do what now?
We might have to have a part 2 for this.
I mean, things were different at the time. I felt differently at the time, but I don't. But the thing is, like, I didn't vote for anybody the second time. Like in 2012, I didn't vote for
but the
anybody.
second time around, what led you to vote? After seeing what he did,
You voted for Obama the first time, so.
But
made
the thing
you
is,
vote for him
the second time this past year, because it seemed like people were trying out to get him. People all eyes were on Donald. Like the first time, people were like out to get him. Like people wanted to take him down. Like
Oh, you feel bad.
like people was like he's
Did
like
you
he's a
vote
force
for
to
Trump?
he's like a force to be
I'm
reckoned
just
with.
asking.
Like all
How
I
about
said, like
you?
this guy was
I
a threat.
honestly didn't even vote.
The guy was like a threat. The guy was like a threat to like for all the right reasons. People wanted to take him down. He wasn't like a threat. He was just like a little pussycat. He was like a lion. People like if you get he's like the biggest fish in the sea.
Okay, so let
He
me
was like
put you off there. So
he was like the
before you
biggest
wrap-
fish in the
before you
sea.
wrap, So would you vote for him again?
if he ran, like, and if he could like,
No, but I'm saying, so with what happened with the rally back in January and all that, everything that has led up to now.
yeah,
I'm just because you seen what happened.
Yeah, oh, yeah, the
Would you
whole-
vote for him? Yes.
which rally?
The one,
Regardless.
the one that happened at the Capitol Hill.
Oh, that was after the election. But still, but
No,
I think,
you know what I mean.
but yeah,
They
but it seemed like obviously like
successfully.
well, obviously afterwards they like banned him off of social media. They're like he's like you don't even see him anymore.
But they
Like,
said he was the one who kind of.
I know they said that, and obviously
What I ask black people when they say that though, and this is me being a contrarian, when they tell y'all that Donald Trump grabbed him up to go, do y'all actually go back and watch what he said, or y'all just watch the clips, or do y'all go watch everything?
I think most of us just watch.
The real question is this: if black people were in the Capitol the way they did,
We would have all been.
We wouldn't have been up in here
But we wouldn't have.
rolling nothing. We wouldn't have been inside. What the fuck are you talking about?
question right there. What would have happened?
Couldn't even make it inside.
Huh? Danny, why don't you answer that question for us? Huh? What do you think would have happened if we did what y'all
That's
did?
the real shit.
I think some people were shot.
Nah, stop, man.
I'm not
Nah.
gonna
I thought we were being honest right now.
Some people actually were. Some people actually were.
Answer on the next
Some
episode.
people actually
before
were. I mean, it
answer
depends.
that question, then we can wrap it up.
I think it really depends. Some people actually were shot, and some people actually were shot and killed.
Same guy, they got pulled over for doing a U-turn
lady.
on an influence and got driven home with a citation.
Like, well,
That's how we end the conversation for the next part too. Right?
I mean, if you want to go, okay.
Cause I mean, my baby.
Same person. Yeah, so
I mean,
They were in there chilling on her desk. Like, there's no way.
They got her
We would have been
notes.
able
So
to
you
be
mean
chilling
to tell
on
me you
nobody's
think if
desk.
black people were to have done it, nothing would have happened to
I mean,
us?
it really depends. I mean, I can't really speak. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it depends. I mean, some people were. I mean, it depends. I mean, if,
we
I
would have been.
I think that was very bold of white people.
Exactly.
That was
They
a
said, and I was like,
I
wow.
guess they felt like they were cheated or whatever, but that's all.
Yeah.
Whole other thing. They felt like they were cheated, but that's a whole
I
other
understand.
discussion.
They felt like they were cheated, and we feel like we just don't matter. That's
They broke the rail.
Part two, that should be further discussed.
we just want some freedom.
Would you have Donald Trump come on here?
Yeah. I think he's a cool guy. I don't think he's like.
Would you have